ways, you find that the food and economic activities in the rural areas are usually not able to get to their market points. And you find that because of this, the lives of the people in the rural areas have not been transformed to modern ways. And this also has led to rural-urban drift, which is a problem.
Over time, some of the factors identified as holding back development and the quality of life in the rural areas include constant policy inconsistencies by government. To eradicate poverty in Nigeria, experts believe emphasis should be on the provision of basic social amenities for the poor, whose majority are in the rural areas. For Deadline 360, I'm Salihu Abdullah.
Thanks, Salihu. That policy inconsistency is the focus of the Buhari administration in repositioning agriculture to drive its diversification policy. Since the cost of foodstuff largely determines the quality of life of an average family, getting the produce to the market is critical. The next report from across the country will now give us a vivid picture of the situation. We start with Nura Tanko Wakile in Kebbi.
Now that the federal and state governments have shown greater interest and political will to transform the country's economy through agriculture, Kebbi state government has continuously introduced new initiatives to boost production. More people are engaged in agriculture every year to produce not only rice and wheat, but other crops like millet, maize, sorghum, soybeans, onions, and vegetables, among other crops. Due to the growing number of farmers, there are inadequate number of manual laborers required by the farmers to handle the number and sizes of farms under cultivation. To solve this problem, the state government has procured machines for land preparation, harvesting, and threshing. Other measures taken to improve production include establishment of smaller rice mills, in addition to the existing major mills in the state. Rural roads are being constructed to open up rural areas to give farmers easy access to urban and semi-urban areas with their produce.
In collaboration with RAMP, which is a rural infrastructure provision agency that will take care of about 500 rural roads in the state. There is also ATAPS, which is taking care of certain irrigation schemes in the state.
Before the construction of this road, farmers from the other side of the river either rely on boats and canoes to convey their farm produce to the market, which sometimes result into the loss of lives and properties, or leave them to the advantage of buyers from the neighboring Niger and Benin republics who purchase them at relatively low prices. In some cases, they will have to dispose them off at giveaway prices to unscrupulous middlemen from Nigeria who hide behind the pretext of exorbitant cost of transportation to dupe the poor farmers.
The market must be there where he can sell his produce, and then for him to evacuate the produce to the market, the roads must be there. So ATAPS provides those amenities so that he can concentrate on his primary aspect of production.
He said in addition to the social infrastructure, preparations have reached an advanced stage for the construction of 56 kilometers across 6 participating local government areas to enhance rice and sorghum value chain. All these efforts and initiatives aim at adding value to farm produce for the benefit of the farmers. Some farmers who expressed happiness over the move to open up rural areas for easy access, however, said more needs to be done in the provision of farm implements to enhance productivity.
Farmers need more support, not only roads, but machines to ease cultivation. Farm implements such as harawas, planters, harvesters, and the rest can further enhance production.
In Birnin Kebbi, Nura Tanko Wakile, reporting for Deadline 360.
Benefit of farmers and consumers like Nura. considering the contribution of the Kebbi State government in the area of rice production. Now, to the southeast geopolitical zone, Chinyere Okoye is on standby in Enugu.
This is Uboka community in Kano East Council area of Enugu State. It is an agrarian community popularly known for rice cultivation, with a very large rice farm and one of the biggest in the southeast. Well, some of the rice farmers here base their activities on self-help. To many in the southeast, Uboka is a household name in food supply. The agrarian nature of this community is as old as the community itself. Apart from Uboka, Ezagu, Adani, and Nike communities are also known for large-scale farming. Rice, okra, cassava, vegetables are among the farm crops produced in these areas in commercial quantities. At Uboka, farmers lament the absence of motorable roads, which has hindered their anticipated progress in agriculture and food production. They said that apart from the local government random grading of some roads in the community, especially those leading to farmlands, no meaningful road project has ever been carried out in the area, not minding its relevance to the state economy. This was confirmed when the crew visited the various farms and settlements on commercial motorcycles with intermittent stoppings while crossing waters. This situation has forced farmers in the area to transport their produce through the neighboring Ebonyi State and back to Enugu State, resulting in high cost of food items. For example, a bushel of rice, which currently sells at 6,000 naira, can go down to 3,000 naira if the roads are motorable. The same goes for cassava and gari.
We need a good road, because the good road will now attract the buyers and investors, people that want to invest more and people that want to support us. They would like to come and see the place, but if there's no road, nobody will cross the area.
In Anambra State, most of the communities where foods are produced in large quantity are on the coast of the River Niger and the Omambala River. Obaru is one of the communities where food is produced. Most of the crops are lost to flooding that occur before they mature because of its closeness to the River Niger. Apart from the Onisha, Atani, Oguibere Road, there are no other good access roads to the agrarian communities in Obaru Council area. Access to farms to evacuate agricultural produce is quite difficult.
We have been facing a lot of challenges, despite the contribution of government to assist us in the farming areas. It is very, very difficult for us to bring out our goods from the farm. Like, as I'm speaking with you now, I'm a rice farmer under Fadama 3 additional financing. So we have a very big problem. The road to the farm, there is an irrigation site at Egwawa there. The road to the farm is very, very unbearable.
There's no road for our side. You know, like Kenu, we take go and buy that thing for that place.
Some of the farmers live in settlements that can only be accessed with boats. However, such places are submerged at the peak of the rainy season. Good roads, proper farm settlements, strict monitoring of agricultural policies are needed to ensure that farming thrives in this part of the country. Chinyere Okoye reporting for Dateline 360.
Very well, Chinyere. Sure, no meaningful progress can be achieved if those issues are not addressed in full. Federal government's attention on road rehabilitation must be complemented by the states. And our next stop is Plateau State in north-central Nigeria, where Ben Mitu takes us through some of the factors responsible for the high cost of farm produce.
This is the famous Farangada market, where most of the perishable goods that are sold here are sold at wholesale prices. Yet, the sellers here also complain that they get these commodities at very high rates from the farmers.
Key players in the agricultural sector attributed the hike in prices of foodstuff, especially those locally produced, to multiple taxation, levies and harassment of transporters, as well as poor road network.
You are buying food items from Sokoto to take it to Lagos. From Sokoto, you pay a tax or levy of 10,000 naira. You move to the next state, you pay 20,000 naira. By the time you cross 5 states, at each crossing of the state, you pay between 10, 15 to 20,000 naira. Now, by the time you get to your final destination, where you offload those goods in the market, you pay another tax again. At the end of the day, you will calculate how much have you spent on transportation and on taxes and levies on the road. Then you add to what you have spent in buying the bags of maize or any grain, and you add to that. At the end of the day, it is the consumer that is suffering.
They, however, called on the federal government to check the excesses of the numerous illegal checkpoints on the highways where extortion of drivers is carried out unabated. This, they believed, has multiplier effects on goods that add up to the cost the final consumer pays.
We appeal again the state governors to withdraw this consultant under the guise of collecting revenues for the state and local government.
What we are saying is that all the revenues that are supposed to be paid should be paid at the loading point. Once you pay this at the loading point, nobody should subject you to any form of payment on the highway again.
They used to go to the bank and collect the loan, and the loan in the bank is so high. So that's the reason why you see that the price of the goods is high.
For the federal government's diversification policy to succeed and for agriculture to substitute oil, they say there should be a radical departure from rain-fed agriculture to irrigation farming system. Low-interest agricultural loans should be made available, especially for young farmers, as well as subsidized fertilizer, farming implements and herbicides to the farmers. In Jos, Ben Mitu for Deadline 360.
Radical change, Ben. Measures already been addressed at the center, but which commentators are of the view must be collaborated with initiatives like the Kebbi Lagos Lake Rice Initiative. Now to the Federal Capital Territory, where we had a chat with the Executive Secretary of the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, on the move to bring relief to residents of the Federal Capital Territory by opening up more roads to connect the satellite towns to the city center to boost economic and social activities. It's good to have you on Deadline 360.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. So what are some of the strategies being employed by the Federal Capital Development Authority to ensure that this focus of federal government in terms of ensuring that agricultural revolution in Nigeria is achieved this time around, it's possible?
Incidentally, not too long, we visited some of these areas with the Honorable Minister, namely the Kuje, Gwagwalada access, because predominantly that area is an agricultural area. We have a lot of farms along the road that are adding to the agricultural value chain in the FCT. Another area that we visited is the Abuja-Lokoja highway going towards Dangara Yaba. That's another very important agricultural zone where the current roadworks that is going on there is intended to open up those areas so that all the agricultural activities going on there can be evacuated into the city. The tempo of the work in the roads that have been provided there has been stepped up by virtue of our insistence that the contractors that are working currently there will finish it, God willing, by the end of this year, so that it will, ease the transportation for both economic and the agricultural activities in the areas. Talking specifically of the Kuje to Gwagwalada Road, and then the Abuja-Lokoja Road, where you have a tee-off that goes to Dangara, Ashara, up to Yaba. That's on the border towards Niger State. Those are, agrarian areas, and there is some portions of the road that have been bad. We have gotten a contractor that is going to start work to upgrade it, rehabilitate, and then upgrade it, so that between 2017 and 2018, the road would be fully rehabilitated. There is also a plan to do, using the public-private partnership window, to do a bypass from the Nyanyan axis. And that will also, number one, provide ultimately, a shortcut in a way for people coming from the eastern axis into the city. And we know also that portion has some settlements that a lot of agric activities can be done. That's looking at the Yanyam, Guruku in Nasarawa State, and then coming back to Mpapi. Our commitment is total, and we are looking forward to actualizing this in a very short time.
Total commitment to actualizing full intro-FCT connection soon. Not a want, but a need for residents and visitors to Abuja. The Deadline crew will definitely keep a tab on that promise. We will close this edition with an excerpt from President Muhammadu Buhari's October 1 independence speech to Nigerians on strikes achieved in the agricultural sector.
Government has remained proactive in its diversification policy. The federal government agricultural anchor borrowers program, which I launched in November 2015, has been an outstanding success, with 43.92 billion naira released through the Central Bank of Nigeria and 13 participating institutions. 200,000 smallholder farmers from 29 states of the Federation benefiting. 233,000 hectares of farmland cultivating 8 commodities, namely rice, wheat, maize, cotton, soya beans, poultry, cassava, and groundnuts, in addition to fish farming. These initiatives have been undertaken in close collaboration with the states.
If these gains are to be sustained and all-encompassing, observers say there is no gainsaying the role of state governments in ensuring that farm produce get to the people at reduced cost by putting the roads in good shape. Our platforms, Deadline 360 at NTA.ng or at NTA News Now, are available for your thoughts. Thanks for your time, and bye for now.